Good morning, YouTube. Right now I'm in Orchard, Nebraska. It's about 100 miles from the Iowa border, and I'm in their little town park here, which is, it's not big. It's got a picnic pavilion over there, nice playground for the kids. But what attracted me is free camping. There's 2 sites on the grass, 2 on pads. There's another one over here in the trees. 5 days free camping. The 6th day and after that, it's $10 a day. That includes hooking up. So I got free electric. The building over there, there's water and showers. So sweet setup. And the downside is that's Route 20 right there behind me, and I swear there must be a stockyard or something that way, because this is Sunday, so it's quiet, but all the other days of the week I've had big trucks rumbling by. Matter of fact, you can feel the ground move sometimes when they go by. And that lasts till about 11 o'clock at night, which is fine because I go to bed after that. But anyway, pretty nice spot. There's so far I found Nebraska to be really RV friendly. This is one of like the 3rd town in a row I went by that had a park like this. One of them charged $5 right from the start. The other one was just like this, free for 5 days. So pretty sweet deal. And the gentleman here in the van he converted, he said he's from this town. He's been here a couple of months, but not a bad deal. Downside is it is hot. I'm used to being in places where where I grew up. We hit 80 degrees. It was unusual, and I've worked in the Midwest where it got pretty hot and muggy, but not for this extended amount of time. It only gets down into the mid 70s at night, and it's been in the mid to upper 90s since the 1st of July, and I'm a week in. So it's the way it goes. I'll just keep going, and it's bound to get cooler as I get closer to the Great Lakes. So anyway, I'm here one more night, and then coming up is where I'll be in the morning. Good morning, YouTube. Well, today I'm checking out the Ashfall Fossil Beds, which is just outside of Orchard, where I just spent the last few days at that free campsite. So let's go in and check it out. There's something I've never seen before. It's a skeleton of a female saber-toothed deer. Female's male. So get an idea of the evolution of horse feet on up to a modern one. I get a look from the back. So why fossils in Nebraska? Why here? Well, about 12 million years ago, a supervolcano that was way huger than Mount St. Helens spewed ash up into the air, and it was in Idaho, and it blew all the way over into here, and basically this was a water hole, and all the animals around it, the first things to die, of course, were the small animals, the birds and so on. Water hole was filled in, dried up. The bigger animals, there's things in there where a baby camel had died from breathing in the ash. And so there were some that died. I guess there's a rhino skeleton with a mother with a baby that was in a nursing position when it died. So it's all pretty cool. They pretty much tried to keep it intact. We're going to go down into a building where the dig is and take a look at the fossils. But some of the things that they've found were things like skeletons and shells of a tortoise like this, the barrel-chested rhino or barrel-bodied rhino, and about this size. So let's go down to the big building and check it out. So where'd all the ash come from? Well, this is actually what the Yellowstone, what is now the Yellowstone hotspot, is, as slowly traveled. And when it went off here, it was called Brno Jarbidge supervolcano, and that was what, like I said, about 12 million years ago. 12. So, but you can see where it progressed across, and to get an idea. I mean, this is how much ash they got. 24 inches, 12 inches here where we are, and it kept going all the way over into Iowa on that one, but the wider expanse went all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So this is the ash bed, and you can see like a grid of exploration trenches where they went through with small hand tools and see what they could find. And this same ash bed, it's only about a foot thick, but over on the other hill you can see, I don't know if you can see the orange flag, that's where it's the same level of ash. There's a series of orange flags, same level. And down here, this yellow flag is where they first found the rhinoceros skull eroding out of the hillside. So where those red flags are, that's marks off the area where more than 200 skeletons were collected by paleontologists from the University of Nebraska Science Museum or State Museum, and those are some of the fossils we saw up in the visitor center. Now that's down below the level of the ash bed. This is what the ash bed actually looks like and goes right underneath me and inside the building. So this is a view of the fossil bed of where they've already cleared away. Like I said, the ash was a foot deep. Now, how did it get this thick? Well, this was a water hole. So it was a little depression. And all that ash to the west, of course, the wind blowing out of the west would have been lifting it up and blowing it along. And the dampness of the water hole would have collected some. Of course, it would have swirled in and filled in. And they tell me that in some spots, the ash around here is 10 feet thick. So these guys are way down here at the bottom. And all the ash above them. Bones of an unborn baby rhino in the birth canal of the mother's pelvis. It's a closer view of a whole mess of rhino skeletons all grouped together. Now, what they're not finding is much as far in the way of like scavengers. They have found a dog skeleton that I think I can show you. You can't see it from here, but they show it on the TV. And they have found where they're digging right now, over in that general area, they did find a bone from a dog, or an ancient dog. But mostly not a lot of, or they're not finding, so they're still looking. And you got to wonder in some ways, is that as they've found them, they stop. They leave the skeletons, they leave what they find in place, and you wonder what's underneath them. But you'll never know. It's always come up with something to look through the earth. And this is what I was telling you about the small dog skeleton that was found between the juvenile female and the adult male. Somewhere out in there. Okay, that up there is a partial skeleton of a modern horse. This is a draft horse. He's a Belgian, so he's pretty big, about 6 feet tall. And then below it here is a perfectly preserved skeleton of a three-toed horse. And again, you can look at how the foot is on a modern horse and how you can see the toes on the three-toed horse. Right on down to the tiniest tailbone. Okay, so to get an idea of just how far down they are, you take a look over here. The top is modern sod, trees, things that were here when they built this. Digging down, there's scattered fossils up in there, but below that big sign over that says recovery zone is that with the bottom of that, that's where the savanna started to come back to life. Just below that, there's a layer of sand where a slow-moving river deposited a layer of sand over the top of all this ash after it stopped blowing around. And I'm thinking the water going down through probably helped solidify the ash and hold it in place. And there's a dead zone. There's nothing. No fossils for about 4 to 6 feet of ash. And then we're down the skeleton zone, which is where they're digging, where you see all the cool stuff we just looked at. So if you have lots and lots of patience and you don't like wearing shoes, this might be a job you could do. Maybe. But then again, I've been digging my whole life and never found anything cool except for a bottle cap and a broken bottle. So outside here, there's below the ash bed that they're digging inside, there's a layer of sandstone. And they're digging through that now also and finding like a large tortoise shell. It's all collapsed in, rhino bones, elephant thigh bone, horse bones. This is all in the sandstone that's underneath it. And that just sort of shows that this was a water hole for probably centuries that animals came to, drank, died at, were buried down into, and when that super volcano erupted, it basically caused a mass death in this area on this water hole and left us with all the cool fossilized bones inside. Sort of a view from up on top, where we saw how far down it was, and we're talking to Chris. Well, YouTube, that's the end of my visit here to the Ashfall fossil beds with all the barrel-bodied rhino skeletons, which is probably the coolest. I mean, I know you've heard me say this before, but this is probably the coolest fossil bed place I've been to. I mean, just the fact that they leave them where they find them is really cool for me, because you actually get to see, you know, how they were, where they were. The unborn baby rhino was I've never seen anything like that before either. So anyway, time to get back on the road, and see you later, YouTube.